All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a remarkably dense, truly powerful idea about intentionality. Now, the source text we're looking at is brief, literally just a handful of sentences. But let me tell you, it completely reframed how I view effort and adversity. I really want to unpack this with you today to see what it actually means to direct your own life.
So, let's kick things off with Section 1, the core mandate.
Fight for what you want in life. It's an active, direct call. Notice how it doesn't say hope for or wish for or wait around for. Whether it's dragging yourself out of bed to build a career or putting in the really hard emotional work to maintain a relationship, it establishes a very clear baseline. Getting what you desire requires friction. It requires a combative stance against complacency.
Which leads us perfectly into Section 2, choosing your battles.
You know, there is a massive, massive difference between fighting for everything in a state of aimless exhaustion, like trying to be the perfect employee, a master chef, an elite athlete, and the ultimate socialite, all at the exact same time, and fighting for something. What the text says here is it relieves a huge burden off your shoulders. You don't have to fight every single battle in the world, but you absolutely do have to pick a target.
It really narrows down to this simple instruction. Make sure that you fight for something in your life. In a world totally obsessed with toxic hustle culture, where we often feel guilty for not optimizing every single second of the day, this honestly feels like a revelation. It's basically telling us to edit our lives, pick a lane, and dedicate our energy to just one or two things that actually matter.
All right, moving right along to Section 3, purpose during hard times.
So why does this specific chosen fight matter so much when things inevitably go wrong? Well, it turns out placing value on something and actively pursuing it becomes literal fuel for you. See, it's not the struggle itself that drains us, it's struggling without a reason. When the environment around you turns hostile, that chosen purpose acts as your anchor.
And this builds into a really fascinating resilience framework. First, you have to value something deeply. Second, actively pursue it, because, let's be real, value without action is basically just a daydream. And third, use that pursuit to keep going. Your chosen struggle actually becomes the mechanism that insulates you from despair. It's almost like building your very own psychological immune system.
Now let's look at the flip side in Section 4, the cost of passivity.
Consider this incredibly stark warning. If you stop fighting for what you want in life, it's asking us to engage in a pretty heavy thought experiment here. Just imagine dropping your hands, giving up the pursuit, and letting the chips fall where they may. What actually happens then?
Well, the conclusion is honestly jarring. What you don't want will automatically take over. See, passivity creates a vacuum, and the universe absolutely abhors a vacuum. If you don't actively install what you do want, the weeds of what you don't want are going to grow automatically. Misery and stagnation, those just become the default settings of a passive life.
It really all boils down to two choices. We can choose active intentionality, literally fighting for a purpose that keeps us moving through all the friction. Or we choose passive surrender, stopping the fight and allowing the undesirable to just take over our reality by default. There is simply no neutral ground here. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a direct, personal challenge drawn right from this philosophy. If you stop fighting today, what will automatically take over? Really take a second to consider what habits, circumstances, or realities are just waiting to fill your vacuum the moment you drop your hands. Keep that image in mind, because it might be exactly the fuel you need to keep fighting for your something tomorrow. Thanks so much for exploring this with me.